welcome to episode 60 of Deck Building Without the Squire. This week, we don't have Aaron Squire. We are alone. So naturally, we had to bring in Armies of Mordor to help us out this week. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so this is the first episode of Deck Building with the Squire that doesn't actually have the Squire. We are Squireless. We are without Squire. So we are alone. This is all up to us to bear this terrible burden. All right, so we actually had a lot of news this week. We had a whole bunch of things going on, and we're going to dig into a bunch of things. But first, let's just talk about Hex in general for a few moments. So how long has the game been out total? It's like since alpha. How much time do you think we've been looking at now? I know, I'm putting you on the spot.
16 months.
16 months, and I think we've come a long way in 16 months, especially for us as players, but more so just the game itself has gone from something that's been a little less polished, and certainly in early alpha stage is something that's been a polished and wonderful thing for us to dig in and enjoy. So first off, thank you, Hex, for putting out such a grand product. We certainly appreciate it. But today we're here to talk about some of the news, and there was a lot of news this week, so we're going to go in a little bit more of chronological order today, and we're going to dig in and kind of check it out. Let's see what we got. Yeah, it did that thing where it was like it likes to cut out and not show it to me. But anyway, so we have a large stress test coming on 3/7. There's going to be another large tournament, and there's going to be, of course, the usual prize support. We saw that the last few have gone off with, some level of difficulty, that whether some not firing, some firing well, some people playing in that or other events causing some things to slow down. But we have a great stress test coming up on 3/7. There's no tournaments running against it, so we expect this one to probably be one of the larger stress tests. And the same kind of things apply for this one. This one's going to be going on at noon Pacific World Clock. So if for those of you on the East Coast, it's going to be at 3 p.m. and all the way counting down to noon Pacific time. And the format is Primal Sealed. You'll receive 2 Primal Shattered Destiny packs, 4 regular Shattered Destiny packs. Build your own deck with a minimum of 40 cards. You play 4 rounds, prize is determined by record. And it's free, so that's pretty good. Any thoughts on that?
I just am really excited to actually play. I was in the last stress test, and I had some pretty awesome decks that I really wanted to play a game with, but it didn't work out. But this time, I have faith that it'll work.
Well, the Primal, I mean, you have to have something great in there. Like, the bombs will be present.
I had Monsoon and Killipede. So if you really want to know what the deck that I wanted to play was, certainly it had good cards.
Right. So with 4 wins getting you 10 packs of Shattered Destiny, 3 6 packs, 2 wins, 3 packs, 1 win, 2 packs, and 0 wins, 1 pack. Hopefully your opponent at the end is gracious enough to at least let you walk away with a pack if your deck is really terrible. But when you're opening Primal packs, your chances of at least giving you 1 game is pretty decent if you play all 4 rounds.
Yeah. I mean, and depending on how many people, like we had over 500 in the last stress test. I believe the math works out to like 1 person out of every 64 gets 4-0, so only 1 person out of 64 goes 0-4. So there's not that many people that don't at least get 1 or 2 wins even.
Right. So I mean, your chances are good to get a pack. Don't be that one guy that's gonna not get anything out of it.
I'm pretty sure they give you a pack if you get no wins. You get 2 packs.
Oh, 0 win, 1 packs. You're gonna get 1 pack.
So just for participating, you're gonna get $2 for free.
Right. So you show up, you drop every game because you decided to run I don't know, Mill
Citadel
with 1 Mill card.
You decided to run Azure Fate, Citadel of Adamanth, Mill, and you never drew the pieces you wanted to just mill your opponent's entire deck in 1 turn.
Right, yeah. If your plan is that one and you got 0 wins, congratulations, you still get a Shattered Destiny. It says if the tournament does not start with we feel that the tournament cannot come to a proper conclusion, we will provide alternate compensation. Nope. I appreciate
that. Their alternate compensation in the past has usually been constructed tickets. Right. So constructed tickets are generally worth 300 plat entry fee, so that's not bad.
Oh, you can't complain about that at all. I'd take it. If you logged into Hex Beta at least once before February 1st, you have the Arena Test account and the same login as what we've been over before. Most of you guys out there know that. So, yeah, a large stress test. We know that the ones in the past haven't gone off as smoothly as we'd hope, but actually that's what they were saying that they liked about it. Like, they made the servers crash, and we had all kinds of, like, bugs, and that's what they were trying to highlight. They wanted to see these things. So we saw a letter from, who was it that posted a letter about thanking us and making their servers crash? It was
Chris Woods, I believe.
Yeah, Chris Woods, correct. Yeah, I couldn't think of his name off the top of my head for some reason. But yeah, he was thanking everybody. And with that news, let's move on to our second great piece of news. And this one's actually kind of a big one. Kind of feel bad Aaron Squire gets to miss out on some of the bigger, better news when he goes on vacation or sells his house or whatever it is that he does. So here we go. Arena opens March 10th. How about that?
Tuesday hype!
Right, we're going to launch right out of this gate from having a big stress test on Saturday to Tuesday having Arena open, which should give you guys a good bit of a nice day to kick this in. I'm sure there's going to be a large login rate starting Tuesday. And that alone should get people to come in swarms. I mean, the test server was pretty great, but I had a friend who didn't even want to get on the test server. He was going to wait till it came out officially, and now it's out. So there's going to be some people out there ready to play. And this is a big deal. I mean, people there. If you go on the chat, a lot of times you see people that say, "When's PvP coming? When's PvE coming? When's the next PvE thing? Have we heard anything about PvE?" If you
How do I get gold?
Yeah, you can't really go for more than a couple minutes without hearing someone complain they really want PvE. So congratulations, we have the first entry point of PvE, and that's coming out. So that's pretty awesome. They said that they gave a big shout out to the thank you to the community for the tournaments. There will no longer be a tournament cap. Let's see. Let's say a huge thank you out to the community for helping us in the arena experience. Tournaments will with no player cap. Yeah, that's crazy. The lead engineer, Chris Woods, posted in the forum Saturday covering what we'd be learning and gaining from tournament testing over the next few months. So, yeah, he was pretty thankful in this long letter, basically thanking us for making the systems go down. You know, the large swash of people that came out there, it helps them out a lot to get to test the servers in this level, where we're putting so much stress on it that they actually managed to make it go down. So, that's kind of neat. You know, it's a little sucky for the players in it, but at the same time, it shows them what exactly they're going to be facing. So, good stuff.
He also goes into some detail about how the test server that they're actually using is nowhere near as powerful as the one they use on live. So the fact that it took 500 people to crash their underpowered server means that the main server should be able to hold, a ridiculous amount of people. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
It's definitely worth a read. It'll only take you a minute of your time to read his thank you to the community. And if you like technical details, he has a few things in there that are cool to read about.
Right. So the VIP tournament cap. This is big news for all you VIP people. On the top of our tournaments with no player cap, they're increasing the VIP tournament to 256 players. So they go on to mention, for those who are accustomed to overflow tournaments and on high capacity days, you should log in early and make sure you get into the first queue. There may not be additional overflow tournaments, and that's probably the largest piece of information there. With 256 people and that size, the chances of there being a second one, not entirely likely. And you shouldn't rely on it.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, the VIP overflow has never filled. I don't, maybe not never. Maybe they had two overflows for one of the time slots once. But as far as I know, the overflow hasn't filled recently. So, but they don't really need more than 256 based on prior events.
Yeah, I don't think even the 256 is gonna probably fill the whole way. It might come a little close.
I would doubt it, at least compared to the prior attendance, unless people come out in droves for constructed this month, which I generally think that the sealed has better attendance than constructed.
I agree.
For VIP, but I I don't have a source to quote that. That's just how I
Right.
feel.
No, I probably could agree with that. Still, though, this is a good sign for tournaments going forward. If this one's reaching 256, how long is it before we start seeing other things where 256 becomes the max? I know people that are tournament organizers with the 5 shard guys and Hex Techs and everything would love it if there was, of course, some way for them to be able to host a tournament with a nice organized sort of tournament inside of that, instead of having to go through challenging individual players and all that. Have an official set bracket with timers and everything. And 256 upping to that level of players, that seems like another step closer to these kind of things happening.
Yeah, it's definitely where we want to be heading.
No doubt. So another thing we want to talk about here is the 5 shards tournament. Now, with the 5 shard cups coming around, we've already seen the Blood Cup and the Diamond Cup go by. The Ruby Cup was, of course, a wonderful event. And now we have the Sapphire Cup, which is happening on March 14th. And that's going to be interesting. We just came out of a Hex Techs one where we got to see a very interesting top 8. So any comments on just the 5 shards overall?
This is definitely the tournament you want to play it if you've been brewing up something spicy. There are cash prizes for the top 4 in this one. Colin is being very generous in the prize pool. Yeah. So if you've got a deck that you've been secretly working on that you think is going to take the meta by storm, this is the tournament to debut.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, the event is going to be March 14th through the 15th. It's going to be a pretty amazing prize pot. We're looking at first place at $250, 36 set 2 packs, 20 set 1 packs. That's crazy good. Especially for something with no cover charge. So it's free. You are not paying anything to have a chance to win this. Second place is 150 with 24 set 2 packs, 12 set 1 packs. Third and fourth is 50 with 12 set 2, 6 set 1. And of course, 5th, 8th, 9th, 10th through 16th, and 17th, 32nd all have excellent prize support. You can see here on our video. Door prizes.
I always love their 9th place prize.
Yeah, door prizes is going to be set 2 primal packs. So, man, jumping into the first round or two with even a mediocre deck could get you set 2 primal. So, that's a thing. I'd be all about pulling in a set 2 primal.
And of course, for playing, you get your points for their invitational, which is probably going to have some absurd prizes as well. So,
yeah. So if you guys want to, make sure you check out the 5 Shards Twitch channel. Follow it. Keep an eye on it. You're going to see all kinds of great coverage throughout the day, which I love keeping the coverage on. It's neat to hear commentary. I know when I've been streaming, they've shown a couple of the matches that I've played, and it's just neat. You'd always know when you're getting featured, because you'll go from 4 or 5 viewers to 20 viewers all of a sudden. So you're like, oh, I'm getting featured. That's neat. That's kind of cool stuff. And they do try to every round to cover someone who's playing, and the games can be just brutal, especially around the top 8. So we saw some interesting things from the last event with Open Brigadon. So I want to kind of dig into some of these a little bit, because we saw some interesting things. I know that it was covered some in previous things, but let's take a look at some of the things that we saw over the weekend. I don't know if these are any particular order, but Parativator ended up coming in with a Running Deer. And you want to talk about this deck a little bit? I don't know if you got a chance to look over it.
It's the pretty similar Eye of Creation deck to what Strife and Ghost and Kind Mime and Cabal Papa were playing in the last events. There's been a few tweaks. Feral Domination in the reserves to help against the more aggressive decks, and maybe even the Mirror as well. So he made a few changes, but it's a pretty typical Eye of Creation deck.
Right. Some of the things I liked in it, obviously the Scrap Tech Brawler was kind of neat. As you know, some of the MVPs for this, like Wrathwood, Master Moss, everybody's looking for them. They want to play. They want to play a set of 4. The price just keeps inching its way up every week. It's putting the card a little bit out of the range of some of those entry to mid-level players who aren't really sure if they want to make some investments in it. But now is still the time to get them. I mean, even if price is up, this is one of the cards to play with right now. It's just so solid, and it's manages to keep on the board long enough and be strong enough to really put your opponents down and keep them down. So, good card. All right, so the other one, Eladimri. I'm the worst. I will butcher all of these names. Eladimri. Yeah, let's go with that.
It's another Eye of Creation deck.
Right, yet again, another Eye of Creation deck with the usual.
This one I think is like exactly the same as the one that was played in the previous tournament. I don't remember that there was any significant changes to it at all. I think it is literally card for card the same list as from the prior tournament.
Right. We're looking at 2 Succulent Cluckadons, which, as people know, I really like the Succulent Cluckadon, not necessarily for straight up main deck, but as a sideboard card. Just that 4 life, puts a body out there. It's actually kind of decent against Gore Feast, could put you a little bit of life that gets you to survive that round against Gore Feast. And its ability to possibly kill the 1-drop, and that's really the least good ability about it, being able to take out a 1-cost troop. Gaining 4 life from a 4-cost card that's 4/4, I love it. Take it every time. So, Eternal Guardian is an interesting sideboard one. It's kind of a long game card. Is there anything out in this deck you don't like?
That when I play Eye of Creation and I go Eye for 7, I get really bad eyes. That's why I don't play this deck.
Right.
Like, I back in set 1, I was playing Ruby Wild Eye, but I gave that up for Gore Feast because I was just... My luck with Eye is terrible.
Right.
Now, I Eye for 7, I hit Howling Brave.
We saw Aaron try to run versions of these decks, and he just had awful luck. So there is a matter of skill and comfortability with the deck, and there's also how well the deck just kind of draws off the top. What's your luck today? What's your deck chi?
Yeah, it's a very high variance deck. You could be winning, and then you Eye for 7, and you get nothing, and then you lose. Like,
so
it can happen.
Frigid had an interesting deck. We've seen some versions of this before, but this one was did pretty well.
Sapphire.
Yeah, we looked at 4 Cerulean Mirror Knights, 4 Eldritch Dreamers, 4 Buccaneers, 4 Reese the Rustcrawler, 4 Stormcloud, 3 Menacing Grolk, with the actions being 4 Counter Magic, 2 Verdict of Ancient Kings, 4 Mastery of Time, and 4 Peak.
I believe this deck was engineered by Hexed Havoc.
That wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. Like, nothing about this to me is surprising at all that Hex Havoc would put together a deck like that. There's a lot of things I like about it. I mean, it's got card draw, tempo, Reese the Rustcrawler is fantastic. Stormcloud can be a wonderful card as far as game range, especially in a longer game where you can pull out 4 or 5 turns worth of charges on it. Menacing Grolk, of course, locking down their board. Lots of control with a counter magic and verdict. Mastery of Time to take those extra turns after locking him down to steal a win. Peak, obviously, moving you through your deck faster. So there's really nothing about this deck that I don't like. Even Crackling Vortex can be a real MVP if you got a Stormcloud or 2 out. So great stuff all around. Futures deck. I think it's actually the first time I've really dug through his list in some level of detail. But obviously, this one's got some numbers in it. Let's talk about this a little bit. Jankbot. First thing you have to mention, because why else would we be running a deck with it this big? Now, people kind of mock the Jankbot thing, but he made it top 8 with it. So what are your thoughts on Jankbot decks in general?
I think they're fun to play, but they're not consistent enough for me. Like, obviously, when you get that tournament where you get Jankbot in your hand every round, it's great. But, like, even when I'm playing, like, not this Jankbot deck, but a Jankbot deck that is specifically made to draw cards to get to Jankbot, I don't even draw Jankbot. So, like, again, it's the same thing with, like, with the Eye of Creation decks for me. It's just the variance in it kills it for me. Obviously, it can put up a good result. All the cards in it are good, but if you don't draw the Jankbot, then you didn't need to play a 150 card deck. You could have played just a regular Gore Feast deck and had the same type of thing with less flood and less screw because of the amount of cards in the deck.
Yeah, when I play a Jankbot deck, I feel like the shards I get are a really odd flow. When I play someone using a Jankbot deck, they seem to get the exact shards they need exactly when they need it in perfect consistency. You know, and 1 in 3 cards they draw is a shard, and everything works great. And I do it, and it's like 10 turns worth of shards. So I'm kind of out on the Jankbot deck. It's fun, it's neat, but and it clearly can do well.
It's not. Yeah, I mean it's fine, but it's just not for me.
Right, right. So we got Small Fry with another this mono Sapphire. A few different things in actions and artifacts. We saw a Chaos Key, a Time Ripple, and 3 Mastery Time with 4 counter magic.
And he actually has reserves.
Right. Yeah. So the reserves are certainly interesting. It gives him a little bit more versatility with some Thunderbirds, Warbot Dropship, Sapphire Shard, that with the Chaos Key, Answer, Mass Polymorph. Neat things in there. Kendril. Here's something that, we're a little bit more used to the cards in here, like Living Totem, Angel of Dawn, even I guess Druze. Some of these cards making, a little bit more of a comeback, seeing more of them played. With a few tournaments ago, you would never expect to play a game and not see Angel of Dawn within a couple rounds. Lately, though, I haven't seen a lot of Angel of Dawn showing up, which in my mind is actually kind of a good thing. What are your thoughts on the deck?
Very, very similar to what Cyrus played in the event prior to this, or 2 events prior to this.
Yeah, I feel
it's a good deck. He 4-0'd the VIPs with it. It was a brew by our hotel room when we went to the Hex raid.
Gotcha. So Homunculus came in with a little bit of a mix-up here with this is probably the deck that I like the most out of all the ones we saw coming in, just because it looked like it was a lot of fun to play. This is one that I started piecing together.
Blood.
Yeah.
Making a comeback.
So we have an Argus Herald of Doom, nothing too surprising there, but 4 Dark Priestess, 3 Darkspire Punisher, 3 Corpse Fly, 3 Monsoon, 3 Vampire King, 2 Ambusher, 3 Zentoth, and 2 Darkspire Tyrant. With following it up with a Life Siphon, 2 Inquisitions, 3 Murders, 4 Relessons, Corruption, and 3 Extinctions. So
I think this was a great choice for this metagame. Discard has always been good against Eye of Creation decks, and with Eye of Creation decks running fairly rampant throughout the tournament, I think is a great choice. I think Inquisition against Jankbot decks is pretty powerful as well, because picking the best card out of their hand could just end the game for them. Like, you Inquisition their Jankbot, and then they kept a hand with, just some random decent cards, and they draw nothing but shards the rest of the game because their deck has so many shards in it, and you win. So
right.
I definitely can see how a mono blood deck could make top 8 in this field.
I like just about most things about this deck. I don't think there's too much things I would switch around. Even the reserves looked pretty decent with 2 Curse of Oblivion. Certainly some good uses there. Withering Touch having some great uses. Chaos Key kind of being a no-brainer, at least putting 1 in there. 1 Drew's Unrelenting Fists. That's a weird one.
It's not that weird, actually. It's a pretty good card.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I thought it was a little bit odd, but if it sees more play, I'd be happy. I kind of want to find some neat things to do with it. I might play with the card a little bit and experiment some. 2 Crackling Rot seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, I would think that the Fist is mainly to come in against Spell Shield decks.
Right. So we have Pact of Pain, it's a pretty good card, so not surprised it's over there. 3 Paladin of the Necropolis. Why do you think we're seeing more of that? I mean,
it's a blocker.
Yeah.
It doesn't die to Crackling Bolt.
There's the 4 defense coming in. It gives you a little bit. You might be able to sink in a little extra damage there.
And
terrible transfer. Not shocking. So some terrible transfers are always good for splashing in when needed. But yeah, there's their top 8. Some really good decks in there. We saw some things that were somewhat surprising and also not surprising. Now we're coming into this next event, and after looking at the last few events that won top 8, who knows what we're going to see. There's a lot of things that could come up here. So it'll certainly be interesting. So tonight we are rolling a little bit ahead of time, but we have plenty for our deck building portion. So we are going to do a little bit of Deck Doctor, and without Aaron here, we decided we were going to go a little bit crazy. Armies of Mordor came up with a great concept, and we're going to roll with it. So with a lot of these things coming out with PvE and some of the PvP events, a lot of people are coming in, they're going to be brand new. And with these brand new players, They want to know what can we do to make our decks, these starter decks, better without really having minimal investment. So we're going to look at the starter decks today and make a couple recommendations for PvE and even maybe some PvP. With if you had $5, what could you do to the deck to increase its play? So we're going to zip through them here, and Armies has some great recommendations for cards. We're going to tinker with them, and let's see what we get. So just so everybody knows, the Hex.tcg browser had an update where you can in some way load your collection into it. You want to explain how that works?
They had a link that you can go to, but basically on this page you just follow the steps. Like you click there, you get a link, and then you'll make some changes to your client. None of this is for the live servers yet, so you have to wait till the patch because that's when the API stuff is going to be implemented on the main server. But if you wanted to save your decks from the test server and upload them to the site, you can do what it says here. I'm sure it'll be the same once the main server comes out. But look forward to that. You'll be able to just straight upload your decks to TCG browser, and I'm sure they'll have other functionality coming soon, like uploading your entire collection without putting your entire collection into a deck and then uploading it.
Right.
But yeah, it's nice to see the developers putting the API to use already.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have your collection there without you having to like work on it yourself to build these decks. Now, a lot of guys out there have 4 of every card, so it's not a really big deal. But for some of us that don't have the full collection or trading and selling and buying to kind of keep up with stuff, it'll be neat to be able to mix and match and work on some of your stuff without actually having the accurate numbers in there. So let's dig into some deck building here. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to start out with this Humans deck. Now, everyone knows that the starter deck is one of the ones that has 25 shards. The cards aren't anything particularly crazy, but we're going to want to make a few changes to this to make it a little bit better. The starter decks aren't great. I don't think anyone really thinks that these are amazing decks. So right off the bat, we're going to make a few changes. We talked about this a little bit before the show, but we're going to fire off a bunch of changes real fast here. And I think right off the bat, let's lose some diamond auras.
Yeah, we're going to lower the curves of all of these decks because a lot of the arena decks you want to get in quick, get in fast, and just kill them before they have time to set up shop because some of the decks just have absurd cards and you just want to kill them before they draw them or can cast them. So we definitely want to be a lot lower to the ground.
Right, so what number are we recommending? We're looking at 23 right now. I think we could probably do 22 comfortably for this. Now, obviously we're going to be changing some of this Prophet of Lodegan and things like that are the high-end cards here. But we're looking at 22 right now.
I think because I want to move it into 3 colors that we want to play 23 at minimum. 23 or 24 is probably where we want to be. Because
right.
3 colors, you want to have each of your colors, ideally. Then we will have
so let's say right now we're taking this into 3 colors. So the first step to 3 colors is certainly going to be some land. So what do you recommend right off the top?
Well, considering that our 1-drops are going to be in Diamond and Ruby, I would want as many of those basics as I can. So I would probably skimp by cutting down the Sapphire basics and just playing the duels with Sapphire. Like maybe have 2 basic Sapphire and 6 Ruby, 6 Diamond, and then let's see, that's 14, and then 4 Ruby Sapphire duels, 4 Diamond Sapphire duels, and 2 Ruby Diamond duels is probably what I would do. Something like that. I don't want to have the full 12 duels because I still want to be able to cast my things on time if I can. So I don't want to have... There's a limit to how much fixing I'm willing to put in, especially when I want to put in Royal Heralds as well. So I don't want to have every turn be a come into play tapped resource because that slows down the game plan of getting on the board early and killing my opponent as fast as possible.
All right,
so
we're going to start with
I still want enough fixing, but yeah.
Let's check out Shard of Conquest. So we're looking at Shard of
2
Conquest.
2 of those. I would say 2 of those and 4 of the other 2 because
Shard of Purpose.
Yeah, Shard of Purpose, 4 of those, and 4 Shard of Innovation, and only 2 Shard of Conquest, because we're going to use all of the basic resources from Ruby and Diamond because we want those early. Because our 1-drops are either going to be Queensguard or Wounded War Hero. And I want to be able to play those on turn 1 as much as possible to get in as much damage as we can.
4 Shards of Innovation and 4 Shards of Purpose. And now we're going to want to add a Ruby Shard as well, correct?
We want to add 8 Ruby Shards. I want to have 8 Ruby and 8 Diamonds with 2 basic Sapphires. And I believe that will put us at 24 resources.
Make it here in a second. The adding process is a little slow here. Look at our deck. Alright, so we're looking at 4 Shard of Innovation, 4 Shard of Purpose, 2 Shard of Conquest, 8 Ruby Shards. You're looking at, you wanted 8 Diamond Shards?
Yep. I mean, I might be doing my math wrong. It might be 6 and 6, not 8 and 8. Yeah, I think it was 6 and 6 is what I wanted.
We're going to go 6 and 6. That's not a lot much better.
Yeah, that's right. It was 6 and 6, not 8 and 8.
And then how many Sapphire was this? 2?
2.
Alright, so that, already right out of the gate.
That gives us a total of 10 Sapphire sources, but the idea is I believe that our Sapphire cards won't be kicking in until turn 3.
Right.
Because that's when we get Buccaneer, and I don't think we're going to be playing anything cheaper than that in Sapphire, so we don't need it right away. We can play, come into play tapped.
We're currently sitting at 24 resources total.
Right, that's fine. That's reasonable.
And we're looking at 56 cards. So we're going to make some cuts right now. So what are you looking at for cuts? We're looking at, we have Bravery, Adamanthian Scrivener, Shield Trainer,
I would
Guard Dogs.
cut Bravery. That card just isn't very good. Guard Dog is not very good either. That's going to get cut. I would cut Scrivener and Righteous Paladin because I don't think that we're really a life gain deck. So I don't really
Not only that, we have a double diamond threshold early.
Yeah, we don't want double thresholds either. Humans thrive on single thresholds.
All right, you want to cut all the Scriveners?
I want to cut all the Scriveners. We're replacing our 1-drops with Queensguards and Wounded War Heroes that have much more damage potential. I mean, Paladin has a lot of damage potential, but not when you don't have life gain cards in your deck. Like, the only synergy in the deck with Paladin is Scrivener. So it's not worth it.
Right off the bat, just to give you an idea of prices, we're looking for $5. The auction house price for like Shard of Innovation is 31 cents right now. Not a big deal. The auction house price for Shard of Conquest is 18 cents, and the Shard of Purpose is at 25 cents, with Innovation being at the highest. So it's basically $1 for Purpose, a little under $1 for Conquest, and a little over $1 for Innovation. So overall, you're probably spending $3 on the shards alone. Why is that a good investment? Well, if you're an early player, these are the cards you're going to want to have for building any deck. These will allow you to move into other colors and do it comfortably, and keep your shard draws pretty smooth. So pretty easy. So we're looking at around $2 left to go for other stuff. So let's look at some of our other cards. You were mentioning we wanted. What's the first card we're going to add into this?
Wounded War Hero. It's a common. You should be able to get it for free or for like 3 platinum.
Someone will give you this card. It's 3 platinum. All right, we're going to go 3 Wounded War Heroes.
I want a 4.
Go 4. All right, we'll kick you 4.
We want consistency. We want 8 1-drops. So we're going to have 4 Wounded War Hero and 4 Queensguard.
Now, Queensguard is a card I like quite a bit. This card, not only when you get your first 3, it gets a +1/+1 whenever you add one of those shards. So a late game shard or mid to late game shard still gives this guy a pump. Actually, relatively early in the game, it could give this guguy a pump. So you're talking turn 4, it could be a 2/2 and start growing from there. Fantastic.
Turn
card.
4, it can be a 4/4.
Right.
I mean, it just depends what cards you draw, because Royal Herald is a card and it does synergize with that card.
And right now, your Queensguards are going for 20 cents a piece. So you're looking at 80 cents right there, plus the other one. We've not even spent a second dollar yet. All right, so we have another dollar left to go with. Where are we taking this? We have an opening for 4 cards right off the bat.
Royal Herald. That's another common. Someone should easily give it to you where you can pay three plat for it on the auction house or whatever. But most of the community is very generous, and if you say I'm building a human deck, can you please send me some decent comments? They'll probably send you Royal Herald and Wounded War Hero. Like, they're not really worth anything, and nobody plays them in Constructed. So
right,
it's
so
pretty much gonna be for PvE.
And thanks to Royal Herald, the synergies from the last card, you can easily pump this one out. I mean, this whole deck, if you didn't have a single card right now, the deck would cost you $6.71.
Oh yeah, if you didn't even have a starter deck already.
Right.
Yeah, Royal Cutblood's already right there, so you might as well add it too. It's another uncommon. It's really good. It can win the game by itself.
I mean, I drafted this enough when I was doing drafting events.
That's basically what this deck is going to be. It's just going to be a very streamlined human draft deck.
Right. All right. So we're Royal Cutblood. You want 4 of these because this card is amazing.
It is so good that I even played it in Constructed.
Yeah, that really that's a card that your opponent has to deal with. Unblockable life drain range 1 gets real nasty in a matter of a couple turns. So it is the card for you. All right, we're at 64 cards. Let's make a couple cuts here. I don't think it's going to be very hard for us.
I believe we're going to cut Shield Trainer because we have our other 1-drops, and I don't really want a 1/1 for 1 when I have my 5/5s for 1 and my 5/1s for 1.
That gives us a little room there. Other cards we have a Lord Benjamin. We have a lot of humans though, so that's a good stay.
We're cutting Braveries too. That's not staying.
Yeah, Bravery cannot stay. So there's 3 more openings there. What do you mean? I thought Bravery was a great card.
No, we're gonna play Burn, not Bravery.
Yeah, there's no chance you take Bravery over Burn. All right, so we have Phoenix Guard Scout still sitting in the deck.
That can go too. We don't need that. It's slow.
We're looking at some conflicts.
You can leave Lord Ben. There's no reason to cut him. He's a good card. Interconflict is really good. Especially if you can get the equipment for it. The equipment for it is amazing.
Right. So we have Buccaneers. Those are an easy pick to stay.
Yep, those are staying.
Hero of Adamanth.
I'd probably cut the Phoenix Guard Enforcers as well, but the hero can stay. The hero has good value if the game goes that long. It's big enough to deal with what needs to be dealt with.
Right. Prophet of Lodegan.
The Phoenix Guard Enforcers have to go. You can keep Lodegan if you want, but you might not cast him because you're trying to end the game before you would get to 7. Like, I would cut him, but if you really want to play your rares, I won't force people to cut him, but I would cut the Prophet.
We'll leave him in there just because we're going to fill some space in. What did you say about the Kraken Guard Mariner?
I think it can stay for now. Let's see how our budget goes with the rest of the cards first. But
right now we're at 669, so we still have somehow just a little bit more than $1 to spend.
All right. Well, I know we want Burns and Crackling Bolts for sure. We want some removal, and we want it to be cheap and efficient.
Currently, Burn is sitting at a whole whopping 4 platinum.
Oh, man, I would have guessed 4 platinum.
Shocking.
Most commons are 4 platinum.
All right.
And a lot of them people will give you. Like, I know I have way too many Burns.
Crackling Bolt. Currently sitting right now the auction house for 9 platinum.
Probably overpriced, but Yeah, it is
Right.
what it is.
Hey, the set just came out not that long ago, so we're 4 Crackling Bolts. That leaves us, right now, we're looking at going up to 721, so we have another 60 cents to go.
60 cents.
40, around 40, 45, 50 cents to go.
And how many cards do we need?
We are at 59 now.
Ooh, perfect. Tell me that, what is it, War Prodigy? Tell me if one of War Prodigy fits the budget. Oh, I think it does. I think it's only 39 flat.
Is it one? War Prodigy is currently at 39 cents. Look at that. Armies of Mordor, a master of budgets. So right there, we've gone from a starter deck in around $5, managed to turn this into a serviceable and speedy humans deck. It actually might be fairly fun to play because I've drafted some similar things to this, and you can certainly have the potential to blow out your PVE opponent. And you have some great staples to move on and build a collection off of as well.
If there was something else that I would add to this deck, if you had, if you were willing to spend, an additional dollar or something, you could add, another 2 of that just add it, War Prodigy, and probably an Exalted Victory or 2 as another way to finish the game, and maybe like reduce inner conflict by 1, and
Right.
Probably cut the clergymans, because most of your things are 1 and 2 drops, and the things that are 3 drops or higher don't care that much about a +1/+1 buff. Like my Prodigy that gives all my humans +2/+2 doesn't really care if it gets +1/+1. My Cutbloods are unblockable with Rage 1, so they get bigger anyway. So if you had a little bit more to spend, I'd say a couple of Exalted Victories is a good way to finish the game, and a couple more War Prodigies would be where I would start if you wanted to make slight upgrades to the deck. And those are also cards that you could buy with gold, probably, because they're not very expensive. So even if you just grinded the arena for, a couple hours, you could probably afford to buy them with gold. So those would be my first and new upgrades to the deck if you wanted to keep upgrading this deck with your winnings from arena.
All right, well, let's play around with some of the other ones here. That was actually one of the ones I wanted to focus on because I thought it actually had some real quality game potential. One of the other ones we think have some quality game potential.
Yeah, make sure you save it and get the link and give it to, or post it in the YouTube video that gets posted of this later.
Yep, absolutely. Actually, I can probably throw people in there right now. That for those of you who want to check it out, but we're also going to post it in the YouTube comments later so people can come take a look at the deck. The $5 increase in cost. So, what other starter deck do you feel has the potential to be upgraded in $5 and be serviceable?
Well, I think they all could be upgraded to be serviceable. It's not that difficult for the tribal decks to be aggro. I think the next best one is obviously Orcs, because it has Gore Feast in it, so it's obviously has play, and Orcs are very aggressive. So that'd probably be the next best deck.
All right.
But the Dwarves and Shinhair, they can win quite quickly as well. As we've seen, even Dwarves have made a competitive appearance recently in Constructed.
That deck was, and watching that Dwarf deck was just terrifying. It was dismantled opponents that just never even had a chance to really get off the starting pad. They really get going. Like they
played turn 2 Mirror Knight, and your opponent is attacking with 2 Electroids and a Warbot on turn 3.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it just came out of the gate firing on all cylinders. So, all right, so we're taking a look at this deck here. We have some interesting cards in here that we might want to look at getting rid of. First things first, are we staying in Ruby and Blood? We are.
I think we are. There's no reason. Like, Orcs, that's their main 2 colors, and there are plenty of good cards in here that we can take advantage of. Especially orcs have really good equipment. So if you do manage to get the equipment, the deck's power level goes through the roof. So staying in orcs is completely fine. So I would definitely cut the non-orc cards like Zombie Vulture and Shadow Grove Witch. Those cards do not belong in an orc deck.
I just want to cut them right out of the gate, right this moment, because just how much I hate these cards. We talked a little before the show, and you and I both pretty much came to 100% agreement that Zombie Vulture has no place in this deck whatsoever.
Matt Gamer, there was a dwarf deck that top 8'd in one of the recent tournaments. I'm sure we can get you a link in just a moment.
All right, so we've got those. We made some openings. Do we want to go? We'll go ahead and add that shard in, that the blood ruby shard.
Yeah, I think all of the starter decks should start with the fixing. So that one is actually one of the cheaper ones, I think, like less than 20 plat each, I think, because it's not a very popular shard combination.
Right.
But yeah, I would always start with the fixing, because if you can't cast your spells, then you can't play the game. So let's see, what tournament did that dwarf deck top 8? Was that the Ruby Cup?
Okay, so we're looking at, we've eliminated those. I brought the blood and ruby shards down to 10 apiece. We can adjust them all from there, but our shard count right now is at 24. So we're looking at having an opening of 7 cards right off the bat, and that's not even without making any more cuts, because we have some other things in here that are interesting. Like we have Savage Raider, we're running 3 of those. Wrathseeker, we're still running 3 of those. So we're going to have some options here for cards we're going to take out. But let's talk about some cards we're going to put in here. What cards are we looking at? I'm going to make a guess, and we want more Gore Feast.
I wouldn't blow our whole budget on Gore Feast yet. I would start with the other cards and then see what we have left for the expensive cards. Because I don't want to...
We probably have room for 1 by the time we're done. At $1.55 for Gore Feast?
We probably would, but right. It was the Ruby Cup, Matt Gamer. Here, I'll paste it in chat for you.
All right.
The last 15 cards on that list are from the reserves, but that was the deck that top 8'd for dwarves. It was a shock to everyone.
Yeah, no kidding. Like, just seeing that deck in a couple videos was really pouncing some people. So we added the shard in. Okay. We're going to need some other blood ruby cards to level this deck out.
Well, the first thing that orcs scream to me is aggressive. So the first thing I want to look at is evasive troops. So that would be like socketable troops, because the ruby gem of flames. So Gem Crazed Berserker is probably where I would start, as I believe the starter deck doesn't have that card for some reason. So that's where I would start. That's a good orc.
Now this continues to push our curve in the 3 range quite high.
This is probably another 24 shard deck, because Gore Feast and Tatalka and Endbringer are 5, so 24 is fine for this deck.
Now let's talk about how we're going to socket this one. This is one of those where you have some neat options.
I think the evasive one's best for a 1 toughness troop like this. So right. I would socket it with the cannot be blocked except by troops that share a shard type with it and or artifacts.
Now that has the potential too to sneak in for a decent amount of damage. You're looking at 3 damage being able to come into the face if they don't have a blocker. There's also the potential of a throat cutter being out, giving it the additional rage 1 that you're looking at. So you have a turn or 2 of this, and your opponent's pretty much dead, especially if a Gore Feast hits the table.
Absolutely.
All
It
right.
does struggle against dwarves because you can't sideboard the gem out in the game against the artifact decks, which there are a few of in the arena. So for those matchups, there's a really good equipment for your Savage Raiders that whenever they deal damage to your opponent, you can destroy an artifact. So if you can get a hold of that equipment, this deck gets so much better because you can just kill all their artifacts with crushing blows on your Savage Raiders. So that's
All
another
right.
card that should be in this deck is
All
Crushing
right. Let's
Blow.
quickly shoot through some cards here. I do want to touch upon the other two decks. So what do we got for other options where you feel that we can throw in here?
Crushing Blow for sure. That is a card that I believe is not in this deck that should be.
No. Get some of that trample damage through. What are you looking at? 1, 2, or 3? I'm a 2 kind of person.
I'm a 4 kind of guy.
Oh, all right. You're all in.
We're all in. We're going super aggressive. It basically is removal because the AI is going to block.
We're at 61 cards. We need to make a few cuts.
Yeah, we can do that. It's not a problem. I would cut the Shame Gladiators because I don't like damaging myself. I mean, I would, but we can't afford Zoltog, so that's completely out of this deck's budget range. So I would cut Shame Gladiator. We already have plenty of 2-drops, so that's going to go.
So I just want to let you know that we've barely made this deck cost any more yet.
Yeah, it has barely been touched. We're going to cut Wrathseeker. It's too fragile, and it doesn't have any evasion.
Right. It's already got to get through to a few hits before it really has any value, and we just don't have any time for that.
Yeah. So Wrathseeker, that's gone.
Okay, and in additions, we have 4 slots open. Where are we going next?
I would cut 1 Ruby Aura because I don't like having I think it's a good trick, but I don't think it's as good of a trick as Crushing Blow because it's not as efficient. So I would cut 1 of the Ruby Auras that are in the deck. So I believe it has 3, and I would go down to 2, and I would add in the fourth Savage Raider, the 4th Darkspire Priestess. Probably get 2 more Throat Cutters. You know, just flesh it out, make it consistent, make everything a 4 of. And
All right, and right now you have not even still really gotten anything into your $5 yet. We've barely gone up maybe 30 or 40 cents so far. Nothing has pushed this deck over the top for cost. So
I
you have
believe
about 450 to splurge on. Where are you going?
I think we could put a Gordazuma in this deck if we wanted to play some cards that actually cost something and have decent value.
All right, how old
Gordazuma is
is
one of those cards that can be hard to deal with for the AI, especially in an aggressive orc deck. I'd only play it as a 1-up because it is unique, but it is a good troop.
And currently that card is running at 92 cents. So one of it actually spent one of our dollars. So we'll put 1 in for now.
Yeah.
Okay.
The deck probably could use Murder. I mean, a catch-all removal is pretty good to add. The 4th Burn is probably fine. Crackling
How many murder do you
Bolts.
think? 3 murders?
I think 2 murders because I think we don't have that many slots, and we want our curve to stay a little bit low, and we have some efficient answers already. This is like oh god, that's a 5/5. Kill it, it's too big. Yeah.
4 burns. Now we still have 2 burn to the grounds floating in here.
I think Burn to the Ground is fine, especially because it doubles as a way to go face.
Hmm?
So, like, if the game stretches out long and your opponent's kind of low, it's like a finisher. You can go, I'll burn you for 6 or something. It also has pretty decent equipment where you can throw X number of burns into your deck after you cast it. So if you X a dude for 3, you can add 3 burns to your deck. And considering there's an equipment that makes burn do an additional damage, if you can get both of those, the synergy is amazing.
Right.
So there's some really good synergy.
We are 3 cards over. We need to make a couple cuts.
All right, what do we got in here? So maybe we cut. I think Arena Brawler is fine to cut. We have Darkspire Priestesses for 2 drops, and Gordazuma came in, so I think we could drop 2 Arena Brawlers and probably, I guess we go back down on Throat Cutter to 3.
I like that, going down 3 on.
And we're at 24 shards?
We are.
We might cut 1 shard.
Go for a blood since we're still heavy on Ruby early.
Yeah, I think cutting 1 blood is fine.
That puts us at 59, allowing us 1 opening.
For the Gore Feast.
Absolutely. And just so you know, I mean, we're still running relatively low. We haven't even touched the $5 market. We spent $5 and we've gone up to $3.50 something cents range. So we still have another $1.50 to spend. We have some sideboard options there. I won't add them on the list here. If you want to just mention another card or two, maybe we're thinking a third War Feast on the sideboard.
Crackling Bolts. I mean, the Arena doesn't really use sideboards, but if you wanted to play this in like a constructed tournament, Crackling Bolts are a reasonable option. Inquisitions, Withering Touch, discard spells are always really powerful. So those are probably some cards that you could put in reserves to make this deck more constructed playable against control.
Cool. All right, so we're running a little bit low on time tonight, but we can go ahead and touch on some of these other decks. We're not going to modify them tonight, but we're just going to name off some cards real fast. Let's go ahead and jump into the shin here. Let's just throw some ideas out there for cards that you would like to see in this deck, or cards you'd like to take out of this deck.
Bucktooth Roshi is great. It's only like 30-40 plat or something, so that's an easy addition as a 4-of to this deck. Cut the Gigantosaurs, way too expensive.
Command Tower's got to go.
Command Tower is bad. Replace it with Bucktooth Commander. You could play... God, what is the shin here that make... When you make Battle Hoppers, you create 1/2s instead. It's like $1.
Right. Yeah, those are definitely great.
Recruiter.
Surprise run gangs
Recruiter.
could be a splash in to replace some other things.
I would cut the Boulder Brutes as well. You could add some other tunneling troops. Minion of Yakuzan is totally a reasonable card for this deck. It's also like maybe $1.50 or something. So it depends.
Mashwaki's not a great card, but if you're a newer player and you want a fun rare too, it's kind of neat. It's fun.
Mashwaki's fine. You just would want the equipment for it that gives it crush.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you can get the equipment for it, Mashwaki would be great for this deck.
All right, so let's go ahead and zip over
also,
to...
Crackling Sprouts, if you don't have the equipment, would make it better. So, yeah, those are some things you could add to this deck to make it better.
And the most expensive card you named was the one that gives all +2/+2 at around 39 cents. So most of those are value cards.
Minion of Yakuzan is probably the most expensive one I added. But that isn't necessary for the deck, but it is a good card.
All right.
Killblade of the Milky Eye is also good for that deck.
All right, here's a deck that has some options with the Dwarfs deck. There's a lot of little neat things that can make this deck vicious.
Okay, so I pretty much would cut like everything in this deck down. I would cut the shards down to 21 because the curve is going to be really, really low. We're going to cut the 4-drops and the 5-drops and everything that's like really expensive and put in Construct Foremans and tunneling troops like Mesmeric Hypnoscientists, cut Cavern Commando, Research Librarian, Experimental Warhole. That can go. You can leave Druze in because it can win you a game by itself, but you might not cast it regularly unless you draw your Technical Genius to reduce its cost or draw it with Gearsmith, which is totally reasonable because Gearsmith has some insane equipment for this deck too.
Absolutely.
Like, from what I was reading, it lets you reveal the top 5 cards to get an artifact, and then the other equipment, if you have both equipment, the other equipment is put all artifacts revealed this way into your hand instead of just one. So that card is insane. I would add Electroids to this deck because that card is insane. Basically, if you look at Kaldheim's top 8 list from the Ruby Cup, I would totally say that if you just cut the Tectonic Mega Hulks and replace them with Mesmeric Hypnoscientists, that the deck is probably good enough to do well in Arena, and it doesn't even cost very much at all.
Right. I mean, Mesmeric Hypnoscientist is the auction house price still loading here, but it's really nothing.
It's like a 4-cent card. It's a common.
Yeah, exactly. So it's seeing a little bit of play, but it's not expensive, so you should be able to pick those up on the download. So yeah, not too bad there. All right, so we're coming up to the end of the show here. I still don't have a sign-off. I am sign-off list, and it's like a rule of Errant Squire's show to have a sign-off. I'm gonna need something decent. I don't even know where to go. So between now and next week, I have to have a sign-off for an Errant Squire's show. He won't be here for the next couple months. It's basically gonna be me and you, kind of back and forth here, picking up his show, maybe doing some fun things. I might work on some segments or do some other neat things with the show, since he's given me over the reins for a short period of time for me to hang out with you guys. So everybody in the chat, if you have any recommendations, things you'd like to see in the show, or a cool sign off for me, right now I think my sign off is going to be, hey, don't be too butthurt out there. But all right, so thank you guys for coming out the show. We really appreciate it. Errant Squire will be out for the next month or so it is going to be me and Armies of Mordor on a regular basis doing this. If you want to come on the show and be a co-host, please find me. Follow me on Twitter with @Goldensaucerguy, and you can also follow my Twitch TV channel, which is also streaming this, which is Twitch @Goldensaucerguy. And then we also have Armies of Mordor. What is your Twitter handle?
I am @Master of Mordor on Twitter.
Excellent.
And my Twitch channel is Armies of Mordor. Though I don't stream very regularly, but that'll change Tuesday, because PvE is what I really want to stream, because it doesn't cost me any money if I misplay against the AI while I'm streaming.
Where are you guys going to post to YouTube? I have local recorded this, so I'm going to see if I can pass it off to...
it's going to be on Errant Squire's YouTube channel. I can get a link to it. Hold on.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get him this recording, and if I can, then it'll be on his channel. If not, I might create my own, and I will post that for you guys. Follow my Twitter. I'll give you some updates. Again, if you guys have any questions or want me to add anything to the show, please go ahead and tweet at me, or once this episode's up, you can add it to the comments. So, all right, well, thank you guys all for being here. We definitely appreciate it. We would not be doing this if it weren't for you, our great listeners. So this is Goldensaucerguy signing off, saying, hey, don't be too butthurt out there.
And Armies of Mordor signing off.